billion strong, yes, we are one. We are winning. Red, black, and green for you and me. We are winning. Won't stop the fight till we are free. We are winning. African workers, we must unite. We are winning. Against white power, the parasite. We are winning. Long live the liberation of our African nation. Freedom through organization. Socialist world our creation. 1 billion strong, yes, we are one. We are winning.
This is the FBI. You have a federal warrant for this address. Keep your hands up and follow orders. This is the FBI. We have a warrant for this.
They handcuffed me and my wife out here. They wanted me to sit on the curb while they were carrying this out, something that I refused to do. They wanted my wife to sit on the curb out here, that she refused to do.
As I was coming out, this big old drone met me.
The only revolutionary organization that's done something here on the ground practically for African people is the one that's come under attack. Institution that offers a community radio station, a newspaper, a commercial kitchen, an Aquaba Hall rental space, and community office for our organizers. That was the building that has come under attack.
You need a breach? What do you need?
Need one.
I don't know.
Let's hold that, honey.
Hold
Don't
on.
take it.
We will build a movement of white people that says hands
Yes.
off the
Yes.
Uhuru
Yes.
Movement.
They see in the African People's Socialist Party a vanguard for the struggle for the liberation of our people. They see that because not just what we do here in the United States, but because we had the temerity to do like Garvey, to do like Malcolm X, and take the struggle of black people around the world.
Uhuru comrades, welcome to a very urgent meeting called by the Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa Fight Back Coalition. My name is Mwezi Odom, and I'm the chairperson of the Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa Defense Campaign. And as we say, the counteroffensive against the U.S. government's attacks on the African Liberation Movement, as represented by the African People's Socialist Party, Chairman Omali Shatella, and representing the Uhuru Three, who are facing 15 years in prison for bogus charges that we're going to continue to expose and to lay out in today's meeting. We want to appreciate everybody who understood the urgency of being here on today. And we really want to thank everybody who, put out the word and called and brought your base to this meeting. We want to really just, salute the, the effort to make sure that the state knows that this case in particular will not, be isolated from everything else that is happening around the world. So we are here today because the judge rejected the Uhuru 3 motion to dismiss, and we have on today's call the attorneys, two of the attorneys from the Uhuru 3 legal defense. You will also hear from supporters from the Leonard Peltier Ad Hoc Committee, as well as New York Council City Councilman Charles Barron, and as well as other, supporters of this fight back who are going to make the call on today and give us the next steps for what to do to push back these attacks. Before I go any further, I want to introduce my co-MC, Comrade Penny Hess, who is the chair of the African People's Solidarity Committee and is also one of the Uhuru 3. And, just Penny, we are here because, these July 29 attacks on the African People's Socialist Party put us in a position to, really wage a serious fight back on not just the question of free speech, but the question of liberation for Africa and African people. So I want to appreciate you for being on today, Comrade.
Uhuru, and salute to you, Chair Mwezi, and it's an incredible honor to be here. And I want to salute Chairman Omali Shatella, who's here with us tonight, and all of the attorneys and the powerful comrades who are here with us at this very important meeting. I just want to say the court has ruled that the throwing out the motion to dismiss in a completely bogus way that we will be summing up tonight, and the brilliant lawyers will be taking it on. And that was a brilliant motion to dismiss.
Yes.
And I just want to say that this case is so serious that, as one of the members of the legal team stated, this is an unprecedented attack. The attack that Chairman Omali Shatella is facing, it's an attack on the First Amendment for everyone. And as we know, this legal official stated, if they convict Chairman Omali Shatella on these charges, they will be able to charge anyone at any time for any speech. And I just want to say we are winning, and this is a powerful struggle. We're pushing back the state. The strategy of Chairman Omali Shatella is the strategy to put the state on trial. I also want to say, Chairman Mwezi, that I will donate $100 tonight towards our goal. I know we can make this tonight. Yes, very important. We're raising more resources needed to actually go to this bogus trial and kick their asses.
Comrade, right on. That takes us, takes me to the next point. And before I go there, Comrade, I do want to just join you in saluting Chairman Omali Shatella and the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party. And, part of what we are, Comrade Penny just, laid it out there, putting down $100 towards the legal defense, because today we do have a goal. We have a goal of raising $1,000 towards the legal defense. Donations have already came in since this announcement was made, and have been continuing to pour in since the, since the attacks. And, following the attacks, we must mention that it was not until 9 months later that our comrades were indicted. And during that 9-month period, a series of attacks on the African People's Socialist Party and institutions of the Uhuru Movement. And so these resources are going back to, recovering, building the ability for us to be able to continue to wage a serious legal fight back in the courtroom. And so I want to thank you, Penny. And, I want to also bring up another comrade who is, serving on part of the fight back. We have these various committees that have been formed to help wage the fight back. And one of them is the Legal Defense Support Committee. And this particular, committee is made up of, attorneys, volunteers, anybody who wants to be able to help build this fight back on the legal front, getting the outreach out. And I want to bring up Comrade Chimarenga Selembao, He is serving as the chair of the Hands Off Uhuru Legal Defense Committee, and a press statement was put out by the Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa counteroffensive, and we are going to hear from him right now. So Uhuru Comrade, welcome on today's program.
Uhuru, and I appreciate being able to read the press statement that was put out by the Hands Off Uhuru Committee, Defense Committee. This is a real counteroffensive, and part of the counteroffensive was putting out this press release that we're going to spread widely, and hopefully people on this call will also give us some of their press contacts so we can even spread it out wider. So this is the press release. The headline is Fed Judge Rejects Uhuru 3's Motion to Dismiss. Trial date expected to be set in February. On February 26, 2024, U.S. Magistrate Judge Anthony Porcelli in the Federal District Court of Tampa, Florida, filed an order recommending that District Judge Henry Jong deny the Uhuru 3's motion for dismissal of the bogus charges against Uhuru Movement founder and Black Liberation leader Chairman Omali, along with Penny Hess and Jesse Neville, two white solidarity organizers with the Uhuru Movement. Last year, the U.S. federal government indicted the Uhuru 3 on the absurd charges that Chairman Omali and the Uhuru Movement's 50-year struggle for Black freedom suddenly became a Russian-led conspiracy. The indictment came 9 months after the violent military-style multi-city FBI raids on 7 homes and offices of the Uhuru Movement on July 29, 2022. The Uhuru 3 attorney's motion for dismissal called for the baseless charges to be dismissed on the grounds that they violate the First Amendment right to free speech. The case is expected to go to trial later this year. Dates for the trial are expected to be set at a status hearing in February. The U.S. government has put us in the position of having to fight for the free speech that they claim is the cornerstone of U.S. democracy, said Chairman Omali Shatella. The Uhuru 3 each face a sentence of up to 15 years in prison. The Uhuru 3 case sparked the emergence of a global anti-colonial free speech movement led by the Hands Off Uhuru Fight Back. And I want to really reiterate and continue to fight for people to donate to the Hands Off Uhuru Legal Defense Fund at handsoffuhuru.org/donate. So please go to the donate link and donate to the campaign. We have many legal expenses that we're going to need to submit and get this case funded. So please donate at handsoffuhuru.org/donate. Uhuru.
Uhuru Comrade, thank you so much, Chair Chimarenga, for reading that press release, which you can also find on the website, on the Hands Off Uhuru website under the court documents in the About section. And our chat moderators have also added that press release to the chat box wherever you are viewing from. If you're viewing on Facebook, or on the YouTube channel, or right here with us on Zoom. And I do want to reiterate that call for everybody to go to handsoffuhuru.org/donate. You can become a sustaining member to help this campaign have what it needs every month in order to be able to wage the fight back and all of the expenses that come with with the legal battle, in these courts. So, on that note, on the note of the courts, I do want to turn it over to Comrade Penny, who's going to lead us through our next section where we bring up our legal defense team and we give an update on that aspect. So Uhuru Comrade.
Uhuru, thank you, Chairman Wazy. And I do want to just salute all of the more than 100 people who are on the Zoom tonight. And I want to salute all the comrades who are here in the room in St. Louis with us. They're very powerful to have you all. And it's so powerful to know just all of the broad support that is out there to stand with Chairman Omali Shatella, the Uhuru 3, and defend the right of African people to the anti-colonial free speech, push back the state, and we will win. And it is my honor to be able to introduce our brilliant and dynamic legal team who are just have deep commitment and experience and leadership to win this struggle in the courts while we are taking on the struggle out in the streets. And it is my honor to be able to introduce Attorney Mutaki Akbar, Attorney Addie Griffin, the chairman's specific attorney, will not be able to be here this evening, but we have with us, it's our honor to have with us Attorney Leonard Goodman, who wrote the very brilliant motion to dismiss. So I want to welcome Attorney Mutaki Akbar and Attorney Leonard Goodman. Uhuru. Uhuru.
Uhuru.
Attorney Mutaki and Leonard.
I guess we'll just kind of give let everybody know where we are right now in the process. So what it means when a motion to dismiss, well, the recommendation right now, and the reason why it's written as a recommendation and report is because it goes to a magistrate judge before it actually goes to the judge that's presiding over the court. And the magistrate judge is the one who's making that recommendation to the district court judge to make it a final decision. So right now it's just a recommendation, but we do anticipate that the district court judge will accept that recommendation and deny the motion to dismiss. Honestly, we were surprised that it took 4 months for this decision to come down. And I think that shows the strength of the motion that Leonard put together and that he argued eloquently. Typically in federal court, we just don't do motions to dismiss because we really don't have the grounds to do it a lot of times. But this was one of those cases where we did have very, very strong grounds to file that motion. And clearly it wasn't an easy decision, even though we didn't get it granted. So at this point, what's the next step is that we move on to trial. And what trial looks like is most likely it would be either early spring, like April sometime, or early or kind of August, September sometime. All the attorneys will be meeting on Friday. When I say the attorneys, it'll be both the defense and the government attorneys will be meeting to determine how long the trial is going to take, and where we can fit in our schedules for everybody to be prepared for the trial. We will be able to litigate some of these same issues at the trial. And what I mean by litigate some of those issues will be to argue that this is protected speech, to argue that this is work that the African People's Socialist Party has been doing since the 70s. And we'll just put it in front of a jury instead of a judge at that point. And Leonard, did you want to add something?
Sure. Yeah, thank you, Mutaki. I agree with everything he said. The only thing is we do have still an opportunity to make an objection to the district court on the motion. So there still is some hope. The Supreme Court law is really strong on political speech. This case is one of the rare indictments. I've never seen anything like it, where these people are being indicted for making political speeches, publishing political articles. The motion to dismiss was very strong, as Mutaki said. The case law is really strong on First Amendment and political speech. But basically what the magistrate ruled is that if you speak for Russia, it's not protected speech. And to reach that ruling, he had to find that this was what they call a content neutral case, meaning that they're not being prosecuted because of their views, which is just clearly untrue. The chairman took a trip to Moscow in 2015. In February of 2022, Russia invaded Ukraine, and the chairman opposed U.S. funding of Ukraine and flooding Ukraine with weapons. This was consistent, as Mutaki said, with their views for decades against colonialism, against NATO expansion east. And so they opposed it. And in July, so about 5 months later, the indictment was returned, the original indictment naming them as naming the Uhuru Three as unindicted co-conspirators, and later they were indicted. So you tell me, this was clearly targeted. This is a statute that they're indicted under that's rarely used. It's been around for 80 years. I think it's been used maybe 15 or 20 times. And it's being used in this case, in this incredibly weak case. So I think we feel very strong that we're right on the motion. We're going to press it to the end. But as Mutaki said, we're also getting ready for trial. And where we hope to be able to present all these issues and win in front of a jury. Thank you.
Great. Yeah, I just want to really appreciate just really want to salute our legal team because we have a bad legal team that is, really understands the importance of this fight back, and with your experience, and also, like as was stated, the unprecedented nature of these attacks, warrants a really strong defense, and that's definitely what we have here. And I also want to bring up Comrade Jesse Neville, who's who's also one of the Uhuru Three, who is going to also be with us in this section, because we do want to open it up if there are any questions. And so I do want to bring it to you, Comrade, to help us go through this next aspect of the program. So thank you, Attorney Mutaki Akbar and Leonard Goodman as well. Uhuru. Oh,
Uhuru.
There we go. Uhuru, Comrade.
Yes, Uhuru. I want to thank attorneys Mutaki Akbar and Leonard Goodman, and salute this great meeting tonight, and you, Chairman Wazy and Chairwoman Penny, and of course, Chairman Omali Jatella. And also do want to recognize Attorney Addie Griffin, as well as Angela Rainey and Tom Inskeep. And we have 5 powerful lawyers representing the Uhuru Three, thanks to the incredible support of all of you in the Hands Off Uhuru anti-colonial free speech movement. So I want to thank the attorneys for giving us the updates. And in terms of questions, sorry, I'm just trying to make sure I can.
Somebody was asking, what are the charges?
Yes, so if the attorneys can take this on, someone's asking to explain exactly what the charges are that we are facing.
And could you just,
Yeah.
I just wanted to, I'm sorry, go ahead. I just wanted to ask people to put in the chat if you have questions. Sorry, go ahead, attorney.
Yeah, they've been indicted under a very rare statute that basically it's a statute used to target secret operatives for foreign countries. So basically spies for foreign countries that are operating in the US on behalf of their foreign governments. It's been rarely used because basically what the statute says is that if you're a foreign spy, you're supposed to register with the Attorney General. No person has ever registered with the Attorney General as a spy, but basically that's the statute provides up to 10 years in prison if you fail to register, knowing that you are an operative of a foreign government. So that's what they're prosecuted under, along with a conspiracy charge.
Right.
I don't think we have any more questions right now that I see. I'm sorry, did somebody say something?
This is Mwazi. I don't see any other questions either, but we do want to just say that if there are questions, okay, Comrade Redbeard said he posed a question, so let's try to find that, Comrade. Thank you for letting us know.
There's one that says, did you see this one?
So the question is, can the legal team elaborate more on the relationship, the power relationship between the magistrate and the judge? Can the judge act independently? Who is influencing the magistrate, i.e. who has more power than the magistrate?
You do. The people.
Yeah.
The people. And I see Attorney Akbar is back on to take that on.
Yes, so the magistrate, it's hard to kind of explain their position, but the magistrate is pretty much reports to the district judge. And the way that it works in federal court, the district judge kind of takes on the trials and bigger motions, while the magistrates take on the I guess like smaller motions that the district court judge doesn't want to take on. They work together hand in hand all the time. Probably 95% of the time, whatever the magistrate recommends, the district court judge accepts. But there is that 5%, and like Leonard said, we're going to file our objections to this report and recommendation, so the district court can hopefully comb through it and take as much time through it in order to maybe side with us. So that's still a possibility, and we still think we have very, very strong grounds for that to happen. As far as who has the magistrate ears, it's federal court. So these people are not elected; they're all appointed. So it's not a situation where there's any kind of like political pressure or anything like that. Their positions are their positions, and it's really, yeah, unlike elected judges, it's really no way to challenge the positions that they take. As far as was there an evidentiary hearing, there was not an evidentiary hearing for a motion to dismiss. There's not always an evidentiary hearing. This was more oral arguments based off the grounds that we had in our motion to dismiss. And the oral argument took place back in September, and it took all of this time for them to come back with the ruling. I was about to answer another question. If they do, if we do get a final denial, the appeal would be after the trial. Best case scenario, we won't have to appeal it because we win. We win at trial. We're hoping not to have to appeal this motion to dismiss, but if we do have to, it'll be if there's a guilty verdict, then we'll have the opportunity to appeal it at that point. But it's not the type of motion that we can appeal in the middle of the trial. I mean, before the trial. And possible trial dates, we'll know for sure on Friday we'll know for sure next week, but we're going to convene this week to hopefully get on the same page for possible trial dates. And we're assuming either, like I said, April, May, or August, September. So anywhere in that time frame.
For real.
So there's one final question, I believe.
I think from Janet, I think
Yes.
Attorney Akbar got that one.
Oh, okay, great.
All right, that's very helpful. Thank you. Just want to appreciate our supporters for asking these questions so we can all have a better understanding of what we're up against. And just again, really want to salute our attorneys, those who are here on the call and those who are not, represented, but are represented in this discussion. And there is another just a question that, I think also this comes from Comrade Norman Richmond, Comrade Jalali, who is, a longtime supporter of the movement and, has been out there, on the media front. I want to appreciate you, Comrade, for being on. Ask the question that, even lends to the chairman's answer around you, the people, being, part of this process. He asks, how important is international support from Africa, the Caribbean, and oppressed humanity? And I think that's a question for the lawyers and all of us we can answer, but just, even historically around, the court of public opinion, if there's anything that our attorneys would like to share about the importance of this particular case, with the international support from the community. So, Uhuru.
I think everybody shining the light on what's going on is important, and I think if there's international support, it can't necessarily, like I said, it won't necessarily influence the judges, but I think they hear it, I think they see it, they pay attention to what's going on, and the discussion really is, should the government weaponize the court system in order to shut people up, especially shut people up that's speaking out against colonialism, that's speaking out against the things that happen in America. I don't think it's a coincidence at all that this indictment came almost immediately after 2020. I think they really stepped it up when they saw the power of the people, and this is an effort to shut the people up. So if internationally people can point it out, people can say that it's wrong, people can show that support, I think it helps. And the financial support, I think helps as well, because they gave us a list of experts just today that they will be using to try to show that this is misinformation and that that we're working at the behest of the Russian government. So we're going to have to hire experts to show otherwise and bring that forward as well. So I think that's where the international community can step in as well, financially also to help in this defense.
Uhuru. Very powerful. Thank you, comrade. Oh, sorry,
Thank you.
Jessica. Go ahead, comrade. Yeah.
No, I just wanted to thank Attorney Akbar and Goodman for being a part of this meeting and for all of your responses to the questions.
Uhuru, right on. Yeah, and I just there are a few more questions. I'm looking at the time. I think we do have time for a few more, but I do want to also say that whatever questions we don't get to today, this won't be the last time that you will be hearing from our legal team, and we'll be announcing upcoming meetings where we will be addressing more of the legal aspect and the fight back overall. So just want to turn it back to you, Jesse, if there's any other questions that you think we might want to address, and then we can continue with the program. Uhuru.
I
think I see.
So we have some questions. Did the court uphold the charge of failure to register? That's one question.
Mm-hmm. So for the motion to this, so what we're saying in the motion to dismiss, we're saying that if everything is in the indictment is true, based off the law or based off the Constitution, they cannot convict the defendants in that. So for us, we're saying if all these acts are true, if the African People's Socialist Party really published these articles or made these speeches, even if it's true, then it doesn't fit up under 951 and it's unconstitutional based off the First Amendment. So this is not a guilty verdict at this point. It's just saying that we have to go to trial and prove it. That's all it's saying. Well, it's just saying that they have to go to trial to prove it, and they have enough to get in front of a jury at this point. And so it's not based off the Constitution, is not enough to dismiss it, is where we are right now.
And I think the other two questions we can just combine into one, which is how long does a trial usually take if it goes there? And when they lose, when we win, will they return everything they stole from the chairman and the Uhuru Movement? That last question was from the incredible African drummer and supporter of the Uhuru Movement, part of the Uhuru Movement, Karen Smith.
Yes, everything should be returned once we win. To that question, and the first part of the question, can you repeat the first part?
The first one is how long the trial would usually take if it goes to trial.
I honestly think this trial might last about a month. With all the evidence, their witnesses, experts, and everything. I think we're probably looking at about a month for the trial.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you so much to our amazing attorneys. Just really salute you. That was very helpful and very informative. And before we go on, I want to just turn it over to Comrade Jesse Neville for a few minutes. Comrade Jesse is a member of the African People's Solidarity Committee, the organization of white people under the leadership of the African Revolution, the Solidarity Front of African People's Socialist Party, and along with myself, one of the Uhuru Three, and has also played a really important role as an assistant to the legal team and done some very brilliant work in that as well. So Comrade Jesse, I want to just turn over to you to give us a little bit of an insight into some of the charges.
All right, Uhuru, thank you, Chairwoman Penny. I wanted to ask Chairman Wasey, before I do that, is it okay if I give an update on the fundraising?
Yes.
I'm so glad you paused us there, because yes, this is a good time.
So we had a goal of, we originally had a goal of 1,000. We had some encouragement from Deputy Chair Onizane Yeshitela to increase the goal to 2,000. Our new goal is 5,000. Our new goal is 5,000. Because
you want to say why? Yes.
Here's where we're at. Okay, wait. What is that last number there? That's the current goal?
Yeah. No,
Okay, so we want to thank the following people who have contributed so far in this webinar. I got to scroll way back.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
So we want to shout out Kendall, John, Anonymous, Mike, Janice, Peg, Paul, Anonymous, Bob, Anonymous. We want to thank Chairwoman Penny, Les, Lou, Brendan, Allison, Kitty, Benjamin Prado, Union del Barrio, Raya, Redbeard, Sangha, Ruby, Paul, Mike, Wendy, Dawn, Susan, Barry, Sophie, Wendy S, Cesar, keeps going, Frank, Shlomo, Chess, Chiwo, Mark. Frank also became a $5 a month sustainer. MQ, Leah Fifield, who put in $500. Shout out to my friend Leah. That means we have raised, Sarah, Inyindu, Morethi,
And
all
the
right.
Cuba C coalition from New York, New Jersey became sustainers.
The Cuba Coalition from
Yes.
New Jersey became sustainers. Cesar is becoming a sustainer. Nyindu Moretti. So we have raised
The St. Louis Green Party.
the St. Louis Green Party.
Ooh.
Right.
And I see some pledges in the chat as well here coming in, pledges from Angelica, from Esther, and I know I've missed
Esther.
yes.
Lisa.
Lisa
Wow, so our calculator is furiously typing away in the background here, getting our new total, but we are at over $3,000.
Uhuru!
So,
Right on.
and I just want to say that the fundraising goal for phase 1 now has about $22,000 left to raise. So let's go ahead and bring in that $22,000.
Yeah.
22 people at $1,000 each. Go to handsoffufuru.org/donate. Let's get it done. Let's bring in these resources, fund this legal defense, this fight back, and go ahead and just close it out so we can move on to the next phase of fundraising as we gear up for this historic trial where Chairman Omali Shatella and the Uhuru Movement will put the state on trial. So go to handsoffufuru.org/donate. And by the way, because this campaign is fiscally sponsored by a 501c3 nonprofit called the Open Collective Foundation, your contributions are tax deductible. So if you would like to make a $22,000 tax deductible donation, go to handsoffufuru.org/donate. All right. So I know we're going to have an actual fundraising call later. So I will.
That was great timing, comrade. Thank you. And thank you so much to our, to our supporters and everybody who has been donating up to this point. So Uhuru. Uhuru.
All right. Well, thank you again, Chair Mwezi, Chairwoman Penny Hess, Chairman Omali Shatella, and the entire Hands Off Uhuru Fight Back Coalition, and to everyone who's joining us tonight. And again, thank you to our brilliant legal team that was represented by attorneys Mataki Akbar and Leonard Goodman. As I mentioned, we also want to thank attorneys Addie Griffin, Angela Rini, and Tom Inskeep. We have 5 powerful lawyers, plus a legal defense support committee coordinated by Chimaranga Selambao, which includes volunteers from many different backgrounds, including from the National Lawyers Guild, who have passed a resolution on the national level to support the case of the Uhuru 3 as one of the most critical cases against political repression at this time and in history. And all of this support has been made possible by you, the supporters of this campaign, the members of this coalition and this movement, the people who have stood by the Uhuru Movement and stood up for anti-colonial free speech. So we can continue winning, continue donating at handsoffufuru.org/donate. And I'm honored to be here as a member of the African People's Solidarity Committee and Uhuru Solidarity Movement, organizing in the white community for reparations to African people under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party. And I'm also honored to be one of the Uhuru 3 and proud to stand with Penny Hess, who has fought for reparations to African people for 47 years under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party, along with our leadership, Chairman Omali Shatella, the main target of this vicious attack on the African liberation movement, the courageous and brilliant leader of the African Revolution who has dedicated every second of his life for over 60 years to the liberation of Africa, African people, and all of humanity. And as others have stated in this meeting tonight, including our attorneys, the case of the Uhuru 3 is increasingly understood to be the most important case, the most important test case for the future of free speech in this country and beyond. What they're trying to do with this case is not just put Chairman Omali Shatella, Chairwoman Penny Hess, and myself in prison for 15 years, but bring an end to free speech altogether. And our attorneys did a brilliant job in the court in September of last year, proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that every single thing the bogus indictment accuses Chairman Omali Shatella and the Uhuru 3 of doing is free speech constitutionally protected by the First Amendment. Not only that, but free speech in pursuit of the same revolutionary anti-colonial agenda which the chairman and the Uhuru movement have consistently and relentlessly pursued for the past half century. So one thing that many people have asked when they hear about this case is, what exactly did they say we did? And if you look at the indictment, as our attorneys just explained, they claim that Chairman Omali Shatella and the Uhuru 3 became agents, illegal secret agents in a criminal Russian conspiracy to sow discord in the United States. Again, not to spy, not to commit fraud, not to steal money, not to lobby politicians, but to sow discord. In other words, to stir the pot. This is the goal of the alleged criminal conspiracy of the Russians and the Uhuru 3, according to the federal prosecutors in their own words. Sowing discord. So what were the so-called overt acts we are alleged to have carried out in furtherance of this conspiracy to sow discord? Well, first of all, none of the overt acts are acts at all. They are all examples of speech. To sow discord for the Russians, they say, the Uhuru movement filed a petition on genocide against African people before the United Nations to charge the United States with the crime of genocide. To sow discord for the Russians, they say, the Uhuru movement held a reparations speaking tour in 4 cities and published articles in the Burning Spear newspaper. Each of these pure political speech. As Attorney Leonard Goodman points out, this is the first time that this law, 18 USC 951, the Foreign Agents Law, which is a law that has been rarely used in history, in its 80 years of existence has been used.
Okay, Uhuru, I just got news that I saw it was frozen. I didn't know if that was me. If others are experiencing the same thing, then Jesse, our comrades on the ground in St. Louis are experiencing some technical difficulties. Let's see if we can log on from another computer that's in, oh, thank you, comrade. Another computer that's in that section. But it's very clear that, this is not happening, behind closed doors. This fight back that we were on, right now, comrades, in this moment is out there for the world to see. So, this is really important fight back that we have to, really be aware of in terms of all of the ways that this counterinsurgency will continue to reveal itself during this process. And so I know we are working on getting comrades on the ground in St. Louis back up on camera. I see Jesse now.
Okay.
So wait, yes.
Yes. Am I muted though?
No, you're unmuted, comrade.
Oh, you can hear me? Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you now. You probably went out for about 10 or 15 seconds. So if you want to pick up.
All right. So I'll continue what I was saying. As I was saying that, this is the first time that they've indicted using 951 for pure political speech. And our lawyers actually cite a case in the motion for dismissal in which the court clearly ruled that First Amendment activity alone cannot be used as grounds for conviction under Section 951. And yet here we are facing trial in a case where nothing was done aside from speaking. And in our case, speaking the same message that the chairman and the party have been speaking and organizing around for more than 50 years. So this is the dangerous precedent set by this indictment and by the magistrate's rejection of the motion to dismiss. It means that they want to set a legal precedent to be able to charge anyone they want for saying anything they don't like. All they have to do is say the Russians or the Chinese or whoever else told them to say it. The chairman warned that this case would be the canary in the coal mine, the test case for free speech. And now, literally the day after the magistrate judge recommended that the motion for dismissal be denied, Nancy Pelosi goes on national news and calls for the FBI to investigate pro-Palestine protesters for charges of being Russian agents. So it is happening. These are protesters who are also merely exercising the First Amendment right to freedom of speech. So this shows the significance of this case and what it will mean to win this for anti-colonial free speech and for all who care about free speech. This is the most important case in this country today and ever. So just to quickly summarize what is in the 21-page response written by Magistrate Anthony Porcelli out of the Middle District of Florida. Basically, I will summarize it for you. What is written in that document is that the magistrate states that he basically agrees with the prosecutors that the Uhuru 3 should stand trial because in his view, the indictment does not violate our First Amendment right to speak, right to free speech. It does not violate our First Amendment right to free speech, he says, because though much of what we are accused of doing is technically speech, the speech is no longer speech when it is done on behalf of the Russians. At that point, it becomes action. Furthermore, the judge argues in one of the most absurd passages that in addition to pure speech, the Uhuru 3 are alleged to have also carried out actions beyond speech. What are those actions beyond speech, you ask? Well, they include such actions as giving speeches. They also include publishing articles, which is speech. They include traveling to speak. They include holding virtual conferences to speak. The judge also agrees with the argument set forth by the prosecutors that the indictment does not violate our First Amendment right because the Section 951 Foreign Agents Law does not regulate speech based on its content and is therefore content neutral. In other words, they say, it's not what you said, it's that the Russians told you to say it. This is obviously not true because, again, the indictment is entirely about the content of the Uhuru Movement's speech. Otherwise, it would not be an indictment of the chairman of being an agent in a conspiracy to sow discord, which is obviously a description of what they see as the purpose of the content of the chairman's speech to be. It would just be a conspiracy to make speeches if the content was irrelevant. Our attorney Leonard Goodman made the point that if our motion were in fact that if the indictment were in fact content neutral, he asks, would the Uhuru 3 still be facing indictment if instead of talking about reparations, genocide, and opposition to US wars, the Uhuru Movement had instead been talking about Russian literature and Russian cuisine? Would the chairman still be facing 15 years in prison? And it doesn't take a law degree to know. The obvious question to that answer is no. And yet this magistrate judge said yes. That's what he says in his recommendation to the district judge. He says, yes, if they had just been talking about Russian food, they would still be facing trial because it's not about what they said, but that we said it for the Russians. This is the nonsense they expect you to believe. And as Leonard Goodman points out, if you want to see examples of how this case is obviously not content neutral and is obviously a case of selective prosecution targeting political speech, look no further than AIPAC, the Israeli lobbying firm funded with billions of dollars from the state of Israel, which has never faced prosecution under 951 or the Foreign Agent Registration Act, or a myriad of other Washington, D.C. think tanks and lobbying firms bankrolled to the tune of billions of dollars by foreign governments who have never faced any criminal charges. The most revealing part of the magistrate's response is actually a footnote in the 21-page document in which he states that even if the prosecution were content specific as applied in this case, in other words, even if you could prove, which we can, but even if you could prove that they were using 951 to target the Uhuru movement based on the content of its speech, directly and openly targeting the Uhuru movement for speech, it would still not be a violation of the First Amendment and would survive what they call strict scrutiny, because compelling state interests would outweigh the infringement of the First Amendment right to freedom of speech. And that's the real crux of it, is that he's saying it's not about what you're saying, but even if it was, you're so dangerous to the national security of the United States that it would be justified to take away your First Amendment rights. And that gets to the core of what this indictment is really about, a reiteration of the infamous statement from J. Edgar Hoover, who said in the 1960s in so many words that the Black Revolution in the US was the greatest threat to the internal security of the United States since the Civil War. This is an attack on the African liberation movement, on the struggle by African people to be free from colonialism. But as the chairman tells us, none of this is reason to be demoralized. All of this is why we fight, why we have to fight, why we have to win, and take this case all the way to the end and put the state on trial and win victory for the Uhuru movement, victory for Chairman Omali Shatella, victory for the Hands Off Uhuru anti-colonial free speech movement. We are winning, we will win. Uhuru.
Uhuru, hands off Uhuru. Drop the charges against the Uhuru 3. Thank you, comrades. Thank you so much, Comrade Jesse, for that overview. And, you know, it would be funny if it weren't true, as somebody had mentioned in the chat, but we are, you know, very clear on the seriousness of this fight back, and that, you know, but it is laughable when we can look at, you know, what is happening in terms of the unprecedented nature of this case. Yet we, comrades, are dealing with an organization and a revolution, the African revolution, the revolution that will, you know, free up all of humanity, that is serious about its liberation and serious about seeing, you know, the most oppressed, you know, masses of the world, wherever we have been dispersed, wherever we are, being free and being, you know, being in charge of our own affairs and our future. So I really want to appreciate that overview, comrade, and just that whole segment from the legal defense. And we want to call on people to continue to, you know, come into the embrace of this anti-colonial free speech movement. This is where all of what we are fighting for, you know, can really take on the type of, you know, seriousness, you know, that it needs in order for us to bring all of our collective skills together. So thank you, comrades. And I know we will give an update on the donations that have continued to pour in, because this legal fight back does need the funding. And I want to really appreciate everybody. We will give an update, but we are very close to meeting our goals, comrades. So please continue to go to handsoffuhuru.org/donate. And I'm going to, you know, take a moment to pull up and introduce our next speaker, which will be, you know, we will be getting a political summation by the chairman. And as we're pulling that up, I do want to just mention where people are tuning in from, because we are, as we said, live on Zoom, Facebook, and YouTube. And we have people tuning in from Houston, Texas, Silver Springs, Maryland, St. Petersburg, Florida, Tampa Bay, Florida, Jacksonville, St. Louis, Missouri, San Diego, California, Oakland, California, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Madison County, Illinois, West Orange, New Jersey, Namibia in Southern Africa, Lexington, Kentucky, Fairfield, Iowa, Portland, Oregon, Boston, Massachusetts, Huntsville, Alabama, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Collegeville, Pennsylvania, Charlotte, North Carolina, Brooklyn, New York, Auckland, New Zealand, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Rayville, Louisiana, Pinellas Park, Florida, Occupy Tanzania, also known as South Africa, Gainesville, Florida, Toronto, Ontario, Canada. We also have Fort Myers, Florida, Washington, D.C., Ecuador, South Georgia, Chicago, Arizona is in the house. We have Louisville, Kentucky in the house, Silver Springs, Maryland, Fresno, California, Marion County, Georgia, New Hampshire, and Lakeland, Florida. So this is where all the representations and the fronts of this fight back will take place, which is right here, comrades, in this, from everybody who is watching. So I just wanted to really appreciate everybody who is on right now. And I'm going to, as I said, introduce our next speaker, who will be Chairman Omali Shatella. And, as we know, Chairman is the chairman of the African People's Socialist Party, which was founded in 1972 with the goal to complete the revolution of the 1960s. And it would, make sense for us to understand the history of the African People's Socialist Party, which is fighting for the liberation of Africa and African people everywhere to return power in the hands of the African working class. So as we have stated, the Uhuru Movement is not a protest movement. This is an organization that fights for African self-determination and self-government. We understand that every struggle that we bring into this fight back has the ultimate goal of seeing the, is a part of the African liberation struggle, is a part of the revolution, and has its purpose in an anti-colonial, character. So again, for more than 50 years, the Chairman Omali Shatella has fought colonialism, not racism, which we can see today is the prevailing view. It cannot be ignored. You see it in the New York Times. You see it all over the world that we cannot ignore the colonial question when we are looking at all the struggles that exist right now around the world. And in 1982, the chairman, indicted the U.S. government on charges of genocide based on the Genocide Convention. And this is a really important, piece that we will continue to, unfold, because this fight back, is rooted in the ability for African people and colonized people to achieve state power, over our own affairs. Again, the chairman made reparations a household word during this tribunal in 1982, making that a goal. And as we can see, reparations is definitely a household word today. And the chairman has traveled around the world to win solidarity with the African liberation struggle. He traveled to Namibia and met with President Sam Nujoma in 2006, Nujoma, who endorsed the struggle for reparations to African people. The chairman has traveled to South Africa, met with Winnie Mandela and others in the fight back against colonialism as it represented itself during the apartheid state. The chairman was closely allied with Huey P. Newton up until his death, and with the Revolutionary Black Panthers Party as well. Also, when the chairman was 25 years old, he tore down the anti-Black mural in St. Petersburg, Florida, in this in this city hall, where African people had to face every day walking past this mural as they go and pay their bills and do what we got to do in order to make it in the system. Walking past this humiliating caricature of African people, he was sentenced for 5 years in prison for this act of Black power. The chairman founded the Burning Spear newspaper, which has been published for more than 50 years, and the chairman has published numerous books, which can be found and can be linked in the chat, so comrades can be up to date with all that has been put out. And in 2019, the chairman spoke at Oxford University in the UK and received a standing ovation on the question of should there be a closer African Union. And indeed, there should be. And indeed, it is now my time to turn it over to Chairman Omali Shatella, who is, struggling for the liberation of our people. So I want to salute you, Chairman, and just welcome you to today's program. Uhuru.
Uhuru.
You don't have to unmute, sorry.
Uhuru.
Uhuru, Chairman.
You're good, you're good.
Yeah, I'd like to express my appreciation to you, Comrade Mwezi, for this introduction. And I want to really send a special shout out to those incredible, that incredible legal team that you just saw. We feel like we're in good hands. Somebody said we had a poet a long time ago who was in our work who playing on a commercial that was done by an insurance company that you're in good hands with Allstate. His line was, you're in good hands with no state. But that's but we feel pretty good about the forces that we have in the legal arena. And we have a responsibility outside of the legal arena to push this case. That was something that was raised in the questions in the chats earlier on. I want to say that I think that we are on the horizon of a whole new movement that that's happening as part of a worldwide movement that's happening. That one reason we're having this discussion in the fashion we are is because the US government and all the colonizers had assumed they had crushed the liberation struggles of the people with guns. They had killed in the United States people like Malcolm and people like Martin Luther King and members of the Black Panther Party. And there are still people who are locked up in prison today for participating in the struggle against colonialism that we were a part of. And there are people who died in prison and as a part of that struggle. And we are now back at a different place in history where most of the world, we've been struggling to reintroduce the question of colonialism. That's what we mean in part about completing the Black Revolution of the 1960s that had been degraded, that had been slandered, that had been undermined with the notion that somehow we're not supposed to fight for our own freedom, but we are content to continue to grovel on our bellies at the feet of white power, begging to be admitted into a cruel system that has committed genocide against the indigenous people in this land, that a cruel system that is a part of a settler colony, and then African people who function, who exist as a part of a domestic colony in that system. So this is something that we are supposed to accept. This is what killing Malcolm X was all about. This is what killing King was about. This is what the declaration by the FBI that the Black Panther Party was the greatest threat to the internal security of this country since the Civil War. This is what all of those political prisoners, some of whom are just getting out of prison, that's what it was all about, crushing that. And for a while, they succeeded in having quieted that down. So nobody was talking about colonialism anymore, but we pushed it, and we pushed it, and we pushed it. And of course, the extraordinary movement of the people of Palestine, this extraordinary resistance has contributed to helping to reintroduce this question again. This magistrate and this indictment presupposes, it doesn't just presuppose, it claims that it's not about just what we said, it's about what we have done. And to some extent, it is true what we have done. What have we done? We have made a major assault on colonialism. Yeah. What is colonialism? It's foreign and alien domination of a people that extracts their value, extracts wealth from them against their will, etc. What have we done? We have created food systems here in St. Louis. We have created more than 50 economic development projects. We have created a Black Power initiative that's feeding people, that's creating a capacity for our children to see the future. And this, despite the fact that the United States government doesn't do it. Biden doesn't do it. And the local government here, they don't do it, but we have done it. And of course, that's the act, that's part of the act, and that's what we talk about. That's what we advance. That's what our free speech is about. That's trying to unite the world with this project that we involved in to end the colonial domination of Black people and to end the colonial domination of the peoples of the world. We are part of that movement. So that's part of what it is. What the government has done with its charge is to attempt to liquidate the agency of Black people. That we are supposed to be this inert objects of pity that people can possibly agree with, as long as we are not trying to be out on our own, as long as we are not trying to serve our own interests. And so the government would liquidate that by saying, it's not that we are suffering. They will liquidate the history of our people, our resistance, and the history of this government in terms of oppressing Black people. So they say that it's not about that. We don't even have the right to discuss that as far as they're concerned, because the Russians are the forces that told us to do this. Not the murder of George Floyd, not the murder of Mike Brown, not the murder of Sandra Bland, not the attacks on our people that have gone historically, that even brought us to this country. We're the only people in this country, other than the indigenous people themselves, who did not come here looking for a better way of life. We lost one. We came here at gunpoint, and we've been trying to rectify that relationship since our being brought to this country. So I just want to say that that's really important for us to say. And also it's important because this government makes the assumption that because we are talking about colonialism,
because we are talking about the right of Black people not to whining to be a part of the system, but demanding to be free from the system. There's an assumption that we will be perceived as so extreme that people will not be able and willing to support this, especially since they suppressed this struggle against colonialism for such a long period of time. This is part of what it is that they're banking on. This is part of why you are so important there, because free speech must include the people's right to be opposed to, the people's right to advocate and organize against the colonial domination. Free speech must allow for that, and you must be able to say that, and you must be able to put that forth yourself. You must not allow them to attempt to obscure, to undermine, to disguise the oppression that Black people have suffered all this time. The way that Black people are dying daily, the attack on our children, they steal our children on a regular basis with these, they've institutionalized this process. You have to join in helping to expose that. As a part of your responsibility, going beyond the incredible things that you've already done to this point. It's an anti-colonial free speech movement. You must be willing to say that you're participating in an anti-colonial free speech movement, so that the Mexican people, the people who are trapped in these concentration camps that they euphemistically refer to as Indian reservations in this country, so that these people and others have the ability to speak out against it. Otherwise, they will continue to terrorize and murder people. They got children in cages in this country right now at the border. So we have to say that we are opposed to that. We are against colonialism. And we not only, we recognize that the people have a right to speak, and we speak for those people when they cannot speak. If they got people in cages at the borders and the people can't speak for themselves, then we have to speak for them. We have to speak for the Palestinians. We have to speak for all of the oppressed people, et cetera, all the people who are colonized, and we have to demand an end to colonialism and a colonial mode of production, because the entire process of production of life, mostly in the world today, rests upon the foundation of colonized peoples and colonized countries. So that's the thing that we represent. That's the thing that helps to make us a problem, especially in a world that's changing so quickly, where what used to take years to understand, now we see history being condensed in such a period that people are learning overnight. People are coming to understand these things. This is where we help the legal case, because we will not allow them to obscure this reality and then be able to get a jury pool or be able to get white people or others who will just go along with it because they said it. We will make this case in the streets. We will make this case. We will organize, mobilize thousands of people, and we refuse to be groveling. We believe that we have the right to be a dignified people, and we will fight for that. And they don't have enough flashbang grenades and assaults that they can make on us to stop that from being the case. So that's what it is that we're hoping that people can unite with and can understand. So we don't work for Russians. They know that. They're not concerned because they think we work for Russians. They're concerned because we don't work for them. Yeah. We work for Black people. We work for the rest of the world. That's what we work for. So I just think it's really important, like for us to recognize these things, and we're going to fight. We're going to organize Hands Off Uhuru committees throughout this country. We're going to deepen this movement and expand it throughout the world, and especially throughout this country. Something is happening in this country, and they are not going to be able to prevent it. History will move on like a locomotive. There's no way you can stop history, and this is what they're attempting to do. So I wanted to just say those things. And the economic development programs that we have, they say free speech. What is right to free speech? What is working for Russians, as they put it, have to do with them cutting off our banks, putting sanctions on us so that banks that we have been doing business with for more than 20 years, building economic development programs that feed people, that creates housing, that create the kinds of things that Black people need that the government will not provide. Why then would they move to have the banks shut us down, et cetera? Why would they burn the church? That we were in the process of buying, that we were going to use to make a major economic development program right here in St. Louis. What the hell does that have to do with the Russians? It's a war that's being made against Africa, African people, African liberation, the domestic front, the U.S. front of the African Revolution. We want you to be able to support our struggle against colonialism. if you don't even believe what I'm saying in terms of it's being a colonial contradiction, if you believe in what you call free speech, if you believe that I should have the right, that the people should have the right to free speech, then you have to support this case, because here's what happens. The government makes the assumption that they can attack Africans, they can attack Mexicans, they can attack other indigenous people in this country around these constitutional questions, and that the white people here will be all right with that. That's okay. That's what they assume. In fact, there's a whole movement that's happening in this country today among some. You saw the discussion around Pelosi and others who make assumption that anything that's being done in the interests of the colonized people in this country is something against the interests of them. And so they can attack the free speech, but that's not Uhuru First Amendment rights. That's not Omali Ishitela First Amendment rights. That's not the indigenous people's First Amendment right. Those are the First Amendment rights that's put in the Constitution. And if you're stupid enough to open the door for them to attack First Amendment rights because it's Black people who they're using as an entity to attack it, or Mexicans or indigenous people, what you've done is open the door for the oppression of yourself. And this is this whole question that people like to talk about, fascism, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But then when you talk about fascism, you're talking about when the crisis of colonialism, the condition that Black people live with normally, the condition of the indigenous people living with normally, the conditions that the rest of us live, Palestinians live with normally. You talk about fascism, you're talking about those conditions finding a way to creep somehow into the crisis-ridden situation that white people and the rest of you live with. This is what's called fascism. So if you want to stop it, people say, let's stop fascism. Ask Fannie Lou Hamer. She was the one who really participated in the movement to stop fascism. That's what kept the door, the democracy, the democratic front in this country open during the time when proto-fascism supposedly existed, when there was the McCarthy era and all of that. It was the movement of Black people for rights in this country that kept this society open. It was Fannie Lou Hamer. It was people like Ella Baker. It was all of those Black people who marched in the streets in Mississippi, poor people, ragged people, et cetera, that kept the democratic door open. And so this is the way you fight against fascism. Support the struggle of Black people, support the struggles of the oppressed, of the colonized people here. And this is the only protection that you're going to have. Otherwise, as has been said before, if they can get away with this, that's your ass.
Right, yeah. Right.
So I just want to say that and express so much appreciation. You know, I know I'm talking to the choir, and I have a tendency, to talk loud, I guess. And I'm excited about and passionate about this question because I believe in freedom. I truly believe in freedom. That's why I've been in prison. That's why I've been beaten by police. I've been handcuffed. My house has been firebombed at different times, et cetera. And we were just recently attacked, as everybody here knows. I believe in freedom. And this has been the thing with Black people. We didn't need any Russians. Russians didn't have to tell us. We fought more than anybody in this country. Black people fought for democracy. When Joe Biden was opposed to simple stuff like the Civil Rights Bill, and he was, when Joe Biden was opposed even to busing in this country, and he was, Black people were dying in Mississippi and other places in this country fighting for those kinds of rights. So Biden's organization, his Justice Department, as he characterizes it, clearly that's where you should see the flashbang grenades are being misdirected. The people, we are in this really extraordinary situation in this movement of fighting to protect and defend the U.S. Constitution as it relates to the First Amendment, et cetera. How the hell we are the enemy and fighting against the government in order to protect the Constitution? So this is our movement, comrades, brothers and sisters, a new era, and I really am excited about your being here, and I'm excited about being able to be a part of this enveloping process here. So they say they're making this attack against us. We say it's a counteroffensive. Somebody said, a Negro general said to the Israeli state that all this murder that they were committing against the people in Gaza will represent a strategic defeat for Israel. And what we're saying is this attack that they're making on the rights of Africans and other people in this country will represent a strategic defeat for the colonial entity that exists right here in this country. Uhuru, thank you.
Oh, Uhuru. Wow, Chairman, really want to salute that. Really, and yes, there's applause, all the emojis, and I can hear it on the ground in St. Louis. And I know comrades right on everywhere are really, just a resounding Uhuru, and we will win, because there is no other explanation for what is happening, but that the only solution to this is an anti-colonial struggle. And I just really want to salute you, Chairman. And I just wanted to say a few things that have just transpired during your presentation and just prior to. I really want to salute Comrade Redbeard, who answered the call earlier for the $1,000 donation and who made a $1,000 contribution to this fight back. Uhuru, so we want to really appreciate you and salute Comrade Redbeard, a longtime supporter of the movement. Yeah.
Redbeard.
Redbeard. Uhuru, Chairman. And Chairman, just even how you first, started, just some of the earlier statements that you made in your presentation around the work that the Uhuru movement has done. And I wanted to just go back to one of the comments that was put on, earlier on in the program by Noah Shank with CPI, and we also have John McCarthy on with us as well. But Noah wrote, the community that the Uhuru movement does is the opposite of sowing discord. And I just, think that it's important because we have these institutions and, we want to call on people to go to St. Louis, come on the ground in St. Louis. Come to St. Louis, this is where you will see real anti-colonial, free speech and anti-colonial economy that is, centered on seeing the working class who, as we say, who Deputy Chair Onozine Yeshitela says, the working class deserves the best, the African working class deserves the best. And this is the most clearest example that you will see on the planet. And I also wanted to appreciate all the donations that have been coming in. And I know we're going to, discuss those, just acknowledge them. But I also, wanted to just really appreciate this, total shredding of this notion that, that this government represents democracy. And as the chairman says, we have to continue to expose this, and we have to be willing to say that we are proudly a part of, and willing to fight like hell, a part of this anti-colonial free speech movement. So thank you, Chairman, so much. And we do have some more presentations.
May I I just wanted to say, we spoke about the anti-colonial movement. And one of the things that's given such a concrete manifestation of this anti-colonial work we do is the economic development that we call Black Power Blueprint. I want to mention that because the architect and one who's just really been driving this and relentlessly to the point that a lot of people get upset with the fanaticism almost that through which this thing is driven. And who I really want to mention this because sometimes people see, and at one juncture, some idiot actually characterized the significance of Onozine Yeshitela because she's my wife. They said this is why she has significance, and which is the most absurd kind of thing. And anybody who knows her will tell you this. But I wanted to mention it because when people say that they attacked my house, in St. Louis on Redbud Avenue, and I had to come out, and it's mentioned that my wife came out, but she was in the house. And that attack that targeted me was targeting her as well. And that she's not indicted for anything yet. And they stole all kinds of materials, et cetera, from her as well, even though she's not even mentioned in an indictment. So I just wanted to say that because I want everybody here to be aware of it, and also to be cognizant of the need for her security. So when people see this thing hopefully it contributes to our security, the masses of people around the world knowing what happened. I just wanted to make mention of that. Uhuru, thank you.
Yes, Chairman, that's a very important, aspect of this fight. It's the breaking free of this system. And, African people are oppressed, all colonized people are oppressed, and we can see it politically and economically. And so part of this anti-colonial struggle is the economic institutions that have been, building a new economy. And I really do want to, join you in saluting Deputy Chair Onozine Yeshitela, who is the architect, as we say, of the Black Power Blueprint. So thank you, Chairman. And, what a better way to also, part of the work of the Black Power Blueprint is, as we can see, reparations in action. There is not this, abstract understanding of what reparations is. This is reparations in action, and the solidarity front of this African liberation struggle has taken up the responsibility to also build that, which is why we also see, the Uhuru Three, who represents Chairman Omali Yeshitela, Jesse Neville, and Chairwoman Penny Hess, who I'm going to, bring up next, who is going to make a statement also as one third of the Uhuru Three. So Uhuru, Comrade Penny, welcome back up, comrade.
Uhuru, thank you so much, Chairman Wazy. Before I start, I also want to join in saluting Dave Reardon, AKA Redbeard, a longtime comrade in the Solidarity Front under the leadership of African People's Socialist Party out in California. Just thank you, and everybody who has contributed tonight, turning over the resources into the hands of Hands Off Uhuru in this case, so that we can pay these lawyers and win in court as we win under the leadership of Chairman Omali Yeshitela in the people, win the support of the people. I want to thank Chairman Omali Yeshitela for that powerful presentation that he just gave. I want to join in saluting Deputy Chair Onisene Yeshitela, who's in the room with us tonight, the architect of the Black Power Blueprint. And again, my name is Penny. I am the chair of the African People's Solidarity Committee under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party, with the mandate, with the work to go into the white community to organize white solidarity and reparations to African people from the white community. And I have been a member for 47 years since the beginning, the founding of the African People's Solidarity Committee in 1976. I am one of the Uhuru Three, and along with my comrade who's here, Chair Jesse Neville, also one of the Uhuru Three, that we are very clear that our indictment is part of the attack on Chairman Omali Yeshitela, because the chairman and the African People's Socialist Party was the very first to organize white people as the voice of Black power in the white community. Nobody else has ever done this. And this extends the African Revolution behind enemy lines, as the chairman has stated and described this. And, I want to salute the chairman as absolutely the most courageous, the most incredible person, leader that I have ever met, and that I have a profound honor of having worked under his leadership for nearly half a century and seen what you heard the chairman state tonight. He has fought for passionately and brilliantly in theory and in practice for his entire life. And that's why he is under attack today. He has fought for the anti-colonial message that the struggle of African people is not against racism. It's not about what white people think about African people in their heads. It is for the struggle of African people to have power over their lives, reparations, the return of their stolen resources, so that they have the power to keep anyone with bad ideas in their heads from harming African people. Self-determination, just the exuberance of an oppressed and colonized people to have freedom, to have the ability to express their culture, their society, to be able to determine their future. And this makes sense. It's just reasonable that this is what African people are struggling for, and it's a power to, very, very much of an honor to work under the leadership of the chairman, Deputy Chair Onisene, and the African People's Socialist Party. And I'm glad we saw the PowerPoint about the chairman. It's just a little taste of some of the things that the chairman has done. He has traveled the world. He has built relationships. He has stood in profound international solidarity with oppressed and colonized peoples around the world from day one. I heard the chairman, I had the honor of being in a giant a hall filled, packed to the gills with 500 to 1,000, mostly Palestinian people in 1981, where the chairman spoke and expressed the deep and profound unity and solidarity that African people inside the US and around the world have with the Palestinian people as one in the fight against colonialism around the world. This is the chairman. This is Chairman Omali Shatella. And the chairman talked about Malcolm X, about Martin Luther King, and we know, and many, many others of the 1960s. And we know that there was an incredible mass movement. It really, the African Revolution, as the chairman calls it, inside the borders of the United States, that was crushed by a counterinsurgency. And a key part of that was the brutal US government's assassinations of Martin Luther King, of Malcolm X, and so many others that, that we just take for granted, but just what that meant and how that crushed a movement in so many other ways, and all the political prisoners who have been forced into the dungeons of this vicious colonial system, some of whom are still there today. But the Chairman Omali Shatella, took it upon his shoulders to keep the African Revolution alive, to keep the struggle against colonialism alive, to never make a compromise, because in this counterinsurgency, the US government attempted to even steal the ideas of the African Revolution and to tamp it down and dumb it down and make it something that it wasn't. The chairman fought this vicious, strong, powerful headwind of counterinsurgency and has fought to win everybody that he can win. He has built relationships, as we said, with oppressed peoples around the world, with the Mexican and indigenous movement, Unión de Barrio, the struggle to the Irish, the unity to free Leonard Peltier, who we must free, and just every front, the Puerto Rican movement, all oppressed and colonized peoples, the Filipino people. He has been here. He fought this. He kept raising over and over again when nobody talked about it, that the struggle is against colonialism and what the chairman calls the colonial mode of production, that it's not a policy. It's not a bad period in US history. It is the reality of how all goods and services and wealth and prosperity is given and provided for white people at the expense of Africans on the stolen land of the indigenous people and oppressed and colonized peoples around the world. The chairman fought for this, and now we hear this understanding of colonialism being articulated around the world and inside the United States. The chairman did that. He fought for that single-handedly, not recognized as the leader in the same way, because he was fighting a deadly war against the Black community. The chairman took this on. One of the things that he did was create the African People's Solidarity Committee. He gave white people the ability to join the forward side of history, to recognize that we are the colonizers. If there's colonialism, then they're the colonized and the colonizers. And white people, this explains this gap here in St. Louis. We call it the Del Mar Avenue divide between the wealth of the white community, the poverty and oppression of the African community. This is colonialism. That is a symbol for the colonial reality inside the US. And that for the first time in history, we can pay our reparations. We can say that we stand in solidarity. We believe that African people have a right to be free, have a right to be self-determining, and to determine the outcome of the lives of the people in their society and their government. And this is the future. This is the forward side of history that white people can join. And if you want to be see an end to war, if you want to see justice, if you want to see an end to poverty, an end to gender oppression, an end to the assault even on the environment of this earth itself, an end to suffering on this planet, then we need to be under the leadership of the African Revolution. This is the forward side. This is how the future will play out in a way in which there will be no oppressors nor oppressed. So I just really want to say, Uhuru, we are winning. Drop the charges against the Uhuru 3. This is what the Uhuru 3 stands for. And Uhuru, drop the charges.
Uhuru, comrade, yes, right on. There is just an overwhelming amount of support, again, for, statements to denounce these bogus charges on the Uhuru 3 and to say, drop the charges on the Uhuru 3. Chairman Omali Yeshitela, Penny Hess, and Jesse Neville, you just heard from the Uhuru 3. And I, before we bring up our next speakers, and turn it back to you, Penny, to introduce our next speakers, I can't go without saying that, again, we're going to list all of the donations that have come in during this period, but I cannot move forward without acknowledging another $1,000 contribution by Comrade Janice Kant. So Uhuru, so keep it coming, comrades. This just to say, before we even get to the appeal, that we have surpassed our goal, and we are, looking to put out the call about raising the rest of the remaining goal for phase 1 today. So you will hear more about how we will do that. We will make that happen, comrades, but we are on our way. And I'm going to turn it back to you, Penny, because we are going to bring up our dear comrades from the Leonard Peltier Ad Hoc Committee. Uhuru.
Well, thank you, Chairman Wasey, and I just want to say that it is my honor to be able to introduce the comrades from the Leonard Peltier Ad Hoc Committee, and just to say that Hands Off Uhuru is absolutely 100% in unity, embraces the struggle of Leonard Peltier. He must be free this year.
This year, not one more year.
Not one more year, and that the struggle of the indigenous people must be free. This is their stolen land today. So we salute Comrade Jennifer Jones, the lead attorney for Leonard Peltier's case. It's an honor to have you here. Jennifer, attorney Jennifer, just always powerful to have you. And then after that, we will be hearing from Professor and activist Ward Churchill, another important and profound comrade of the Hands Off Uhuru community. Uhuru, welcome.
Uhuru, good evening, everyone, and thank you, Penny, for such a warm and kind introduction. Greetings and gratitude and solidarity to the chairman and chairpersons Odom and Hess and Neville and the entire party from the Ad Hoc Committee and the National Lawyers Guild Mass Incarceration Committee. The ruling of the magistrate judge to deny the motion to dismiss in the Uhuru case, unfortunately, really represents and reveals a deliberate, insidious nature of systems that are designed to annihilate. But we will not be annihilated. We will be victorious. As unfortunate as it is, however, it is not a departure from the way the First Amendment or other traditionally constitutionally protected activities are treated, often criminalized when undertaken by colonized people in defense or at the advancement of our rights and interest. Since before the founding of this country, that's exactly what happened in Gloucester County, Virginia, way back in 1663, where those 9 African, Indigenous, and Irish captives rebelled against their indefinite servitude, slavery. I think we all know what happened to those 9 individuals. But the Gloucester Rebellion and so many subsequent uprisings show us that self-determination and advocacy taken up by those who were never intended to be included in the Constitution to begin with are often criminalized. giving us the system that we have today, including my client, political prisoner Leonard Peltier, and the selective prosecution that was referenced today. And so we extend our solidarity and support to the Uhuru Three, the entire party, understanding that this is just how the history of repression reverberates today. Our hope is that the district court judge will not adopt the report and recommendations issued by the magistrate judge. We wish the Uhuru Three and their brilliant legal counsel well, and will be there every step of the way to trial and beyond, for their freedom is ours, as is their lot. We will be victorious in our own liberation. We are winning, not one more year for Leonard Peltier, and not a single day for the Uhuru Three. Thank you, Uhuru. Uhuru.
Uhuru. Yes.
So Uhuru, thank you so much.
Uhuru.
Yes, and Chairman Wasey, I don't know, were you going to comment?
Well, yeah, I just wanted to, reiterate what Attorney Jennifer said, on behalf of Leonard Peltier. Again, not one more year, but again, this, just the statement that these are systems meant to annihilate, but we will not be annihilated. And you said we shall be victorious. And that is indeed, we are in the process of that. So thank you so much, comrade. And it's, really great to be along in this struggle with you. And I know we're going to hear now from Professor and activist Ward Churchill, who is coming up next as well. Uhuru. Uhuru. And while Professor Churchill is coming up, I just wanted to, okay, I see him there, and just wanted to, reiterate too, as an expert on COINTELPRO and the history of COINTELPRO, it is really, profound to be able to have this type of analysis coming also from you, Comrade Ward. So welcome again, Uhuru.
See you, Uhuru. I want to just say, this has been an amazing webinar thus far. The statements, points that have been made, I can find nothing to disagree with. And this is, I wouldn't, of my own knowledge, take it back in the 1600s, as Jennifer just did, but that would be correct. I would take it back at least as far as Marcus Garvey. Actually, you could take it back further than that. Mm-hmm. But Garvey, more than 100 years ago, and carry it forward. And the charges are ludicrous, particularly in juxtaposition to the actions of people in a colonial status quo. So I'd like to take this in a little bit different direction, or from a different angle than has been discussed tonight. But there have been people within the last, 10 years, just restricted to that, who have been unregistered agents of Russia operating in the United States. And the way those cases have been dealt with in the arrangements of power, the juxtapositions, the adjustments to power relations of the status quo, as distinct from those who reject the status quo and seek fundamental change to it, tend to sum things up pretty well. And you will remember, for example, a guy by the name of Paul Manafort. He's still around out there. Now, this is somebody who lobbied without registering, advocating positions of various components of the Russian system for personal gain, personal profit, $5,000 ostrich skin boots, a black jacket that was perfectly ugly, but nonetheless was highly expensive, made to his own design, 3 or 4 mansions. This is a Trumpy. Could have been a Democrat just as easily. But our example here, Paul was found to have been an unregistered foreign agent and to have been so for years. As I say, lots of money changing hands, lots of money sticking to him, personal interests served, advantages obviously gained by Russians and Russia as a result of his activities. You remember, of course, when he was arrested and they launched an assault attack at dawn on his house and flashbang grenades and slammed in the door and dragged him out into the street along with everybody else in the house, his wife, and there were a couple of other people staying there and wanted him to sit in their night clothes on the curb while they basically ransacked his domain and stole all of his paperwork and his computers and his electronics and all the rest of that. And you remember, yeah, you don't remember because it didn't happen. And it didn't happen to Madison. It didn't happen to any of the rest of the people who were essentially not considered to be spies as a result of acting in self-interest and furthering the interests of the Soviet Union, or excuse me, dating myself, Russia. Very different. And of course, although he was convicted of having actually done these things and fined and a few other things, and supposed to go to prison and was pardoned by Donald Trump. He was a Trumpy, as I said. If you want somebody who's sowing discord with regard to funding for the Ukraine in opposition to the Russian invasion, you might try the entire delegation, Republican delegation to the House of Representatives right now. You might try a candidate by the name of Donald Trump. You might try, yeah, there is opposition and discord is sown, and that's part of the democratic notion that supposedly embodies the ideals of the United States, but that is a falsehood, and the falsehood just goes in a comparative basis. Equal justice under the law. Yeah, it's been a fabrication and a falsehood since day one. The function of law is to preserve the existing order, and the existing order, as Chairman Omali has said, since before a number of people perhaps listening were even alive, is a colonial mode of production. It is colonialism. It is the white supremacist structure. That's the order. And the law is used to preserve that order, to maintain that order, to further that order. Leonard Peltier, whose case represents the falsification, extra legal, I guess you could say, use of the legal system against the indigenous liberation movement of the 1970s, and who remains in prison to this day as a result. That's something that we very much appreciate the Uhuru Movement and that of the other organizations aligned with it, support of his struggle and his right to be free, having been falsely convicted. But I will say, in reciprocation and in unity with the Uhuru Movement, with the African People's Socialist Party, no days for the Uhuru Three. And together in unity, we will win. Uhuru.
Uhuru. We will win. We are winning. Thank you so much, Professor Ward Church. I think that was, a really important contribution that you made to this program in terms of, again, the question of, well, you don't know the history because there is so much that that has yet to be exposed during the process of this anti-colonial free speech movement, and putting out the history of the attacks, and and acknowledging, like you said, as far back as Marcus Garvey, we can see that these attacks are nothing new, and they just take up a new name. And even one of the earlier comments in the chat that I remember seeing was by one of the comrades. I think this might have been Barry Bender, says, the Nazis had the Gestapo, the, Soviet Union had the KGB, and now the United States has the FBI. They've all gone down the same road. This is just a new face of COINTELPRO. This is colonialism in itself. It's various, state bureaucracies that are organized to oppress the people, and just really want to salute your contributions in this fight back so much, comrade. And I don't know if Comrade Penny is up, but if you also had anything that you wanted to say before we close out this section with our comrades, and to mention that Ward Churchill is also, is a board member of the Leonard Peltier Ad Hoc Committee. And so, they will have to continue to, fight this on all various fronts. And yes, and just seeing a lot of really great comments and, excitement in this, in the chat. So Uhuru Penny.
Uhuru, thank you. And I just really want to thank revolutionary Professor Ward Churchill, as the chairman pointed out, and attorney Jennifer Jones, the lead attorney for Leonard Peltier. We will win, not one more year. And that was a powerful presentation from both of you. Uhuru, thank you very much.
Uhuru, well, right on. And I'm, really excited about this next speaker that we're bringing up. And this is the one and the only Councilman Charles Barron, New York City Councilman Charles Barron. And as we bring up Comrade Charles Barron, I just want to, acknowledge just the importance of, and just the long, relationship that this comrade has shown, and the work that you can also see in terms of what it looks like to build in the interests of the African working class, to build in the interests of the most oppressed. You can see this on the work that he has done in East New York. And earlier this, or late last year, I want to salute Councilman Charles Barron. From his desk, the Council of the City of New York wrote a resolution, presented a resolution against government repression of the African People's Socialist Party and the Uhuru Movement. And this was a really, important document. And we want to just really salute you, comrade, for the stance that you have always had, you and your other wonderful half sister, Inez Barron, who is right there alongside with you. So Uhuru, comrade, we want to give you the floor to say a few words, and it's great to see you. Uhuru.
Uhuru, comrades, thank you so much. It's always an honor to be on with you and Chairman, and of course his wife, who does so much great work, Ona, and all of the members of the African People's Socialist Party, Blacks Is Back Coalition, and the Uhuru Movement. They need to drop the charges and go ahead and find some real criminals. There's enough in government, enough all over the country, instead of wasting my taxpaying dollars on trying to stop a freedom movement that is inevitably going to succeed. I want to first and foremost thank the chairman and all of the members of the African People's Socialist Party for the great comments that you bestowed upon my comrade, Viola Plummer, who made her transition in the December 12th movement. At her funeral, they read your comments, Chairman, and it was very, very moving. People greatly appreciated it. And so I want to thank you for that. And also to say it was Viola Plummer that said to the December 12th movement, the minute she heard that the chairman was being indicted, that she called all us to Sister's Place and had a press conference in support of it. And that's because they know what it means. They were a part of a group called the New York 8 in New York City. Same bogus charges. They refused to cooperate with the grand jury, had to spend time in prison for the duration of the grand jury, and were wind up acquitted. I remember being involved in the Panther 21 trial, same bogus. They're gonna blow up botanical gardens and Macy's, with pipe bombs and all of this stuff. Afeni Shakur was incredibly intelligent and defended and acquitted from all those charges. These are tactics to do a couple of things. One, to redirect our resources from building in our community the great things that you've been doing, and to turn it into raising money for legal fees. The Black Panther Party had so many survival programs, about 50, 60 of them, from health to food, survival, and that money had to be shifted to free the Panther 21, free the New Haven 8, free the San Francisco 6. And most of those cases, but about all of them, were bogus. So this is a tactic they usually come up with when they're losing. All over the world, global capitalism, imperialism, the idea of the oppressed working class communities all over the country rising up, all over the world rising up, they're losing. They're losing in Africa, in the Sahel region of Africa. They're losing in Burkina Faso and Mali and Niger. They're losing in the courts, bringing the courts in Hague and all of that. They're losing all over the world. So what they have to do now is to convince us that they're invincible and to scare us into saying, you could be next. You see what we're doing to the Uhuru 3. So we're very excited about this movement. And as everybody said, we're going to win, and we are winning. And we're going to continue to grow even bigger and larger. So I'm just excited about the fact that we can bring all of this to my beloved East New York from the People's Republic of Brooklyn, and to my organization, Operation Power, and said to tell you, Chairman, that we're all with you 100% in New York, and we're ready for our marching orders, whatever needs to be done. Inez and I are going to contribute $500 tonight to add on to the money that was collected. And I just wanted to come on, because I'm running to 2 or 3 other meetings, but I wanted to come on to say that, hey, we got this. We got this, not only this case, but we got this movement, this victory that they will not. Revolution will happen in our lifetime. I used to say I'm going to pass the torch to the next generation. No, I want it now. And I think that's where it's headed because of this movement here. It's headed that way. And this is like, we can talk about COINTELPRO and what they did to the Panthers. That ain't happening in this generation. Not this time. Been there, done that. We ain't even voting for the lesser 2 evils anymore. This is Biden is evil, period. Ain't no lesser. Biden and Trump are equally evil. One is a fox and one is a wolf, but they're equally evil. And this is what we have to fight. So Uhuru comrades, on behalf of Inez, I'm also known as Mr. Inez Barron. So I want y'all to know, when you hear me, you hear her. I love y'all.
Uhuru, Mr. and Mrs. Inez Barron. Comrade, just really want to appreciate you, Brother Charles Barron, and just, what you just won for that contribution of 500, because again, we are calling on, like you said, we have to be able to, all these resources that could be going to building, like you said, these survival programs and the, what is truly needed for us have to be used to fight this fight back. But this will not be in vain. And all of this will go to giving its final death blow. So I really want to appreciate, just your stance and your being here. I know you got to go. So I do want to just say that, Uhuru, comrade, and
I just want to say about this comrade, his, just done stuff extraordinary, from his position, as his position, in government there in New York. And they have been chasing him for 40 years, trying to get rid of him, and they use all kinds of resources to finally defeat him in the election. And we've already said what they've done is unleash him, because he was bigger. He was bigger than New York, and that's true. And we'll be seeing more of that, in the upcoming days and weeks. But this brother has just done incredible work. More from that position than we've ever seen any politician or any elected official. And we only know Jesse Todd here in St. Louis, who was an alder person who does that kind of work. I just wanted to really salute Comrade Charles Barron, Comrade Inez Barron, his wife, a real stalwarts, real people who really love Africa, love Black people, love freedom, love and fought for the press. He brought Mugabe to the city hall there in New York. He passed resolution. He got a reparations resolution passed in New York. He's just been an incredible force there, and they used every force they could to finally get rid of him. But he, like I said, they made a big mistake. It was a strategic loss. I mean,
damn it, they're going to be campaigning for me to come back to the city council. Uhuru comrades.
Yeah.
Right on. Yes. Thank you, Chairman, for that intervention. I think it's important to really lift up the work that, we're doing that is in our various, professions and work that we do, but has the goal of, seeing the revolution and, seeing it really come to fruition. So thank you, Comrade Councilman Charles Barron, for joining us. And this is that time of the program where generally we might take, time to call on people to donate and, tell you, okay, don't forget to go to the website. But it is so clear that that the people have responded, the people knew to go to handsoffuhuru.org/donate, because we have seen donations continue to pour in. And I just want to call up Chairwoman Penny Hess, who is also the vice chair of the Hands Off Uhuru Fight Back Coalition. As well, I want to invite up our dear comrade, sister Lisa Davis, who is the vice chair of the Black is Back Coalition. Uhuru. Uhuru, comrade Lisa, it's great to see you.
Can I do my little modeling thing? See?
Yes, do what you got. Yes, we got the shirt.
So,
that's another way. Go ahead, Lisa.
Yes, in addition, because I pledged, I think, $25, but I also want to get some of this merchandise because it is just so great. And it's like, wear who you are on your sleeve, wear it on your body, let them know who we are. And I just love wearing it. And the merchandise is so great. So please remember, I think I put it in the chat earlier, but they can go to handsoffuhuru.org and then look for I think there's a link they can click on that says shop, and you'll just come to this great merchandise. And they got hoodies, they got long sleeve sweatshirts, and of course they have the short sleeve. And if you're in these cold, barren, I was about to say barren places, but not after Charles Barron. No. Oh, unforgivably cold, unbearable cold places. You have the sweatshirts and the hoodies. So I just wanted to remind people of that as well.
That's important, comrade. And and I saw earlier in the chat, I think it might have been Comrade MQ who said that they were ordering their second sweatshirt or, something, from that. So yes, let's, continue to stock up on our revolutionary gear, wear our politics, on our bodies, like you say. So,
and I got to get the red one. Also, I just want to say, I'm going to put this out there. Hopefully they can develop a t-shirt like this, but the one that says drop the charges with the picture of the chairman.
Yes.
I'm looking for that.
Okay. Noted.
Right on.
Idea. And also, I just want to say that the Black is Back Coalition, Chairman, as you know, we stand 100% behind you and the Uhuru 3 and the Uhuru Movement. We stand 10 toes down. And I just have to also say this much too, when the horrible attack happened, we did not retreat. We did not cower at all. And I'm just so proud to say that about, my comrades within the Uhuru Movement, whether it's the African People's Socialist Party, all of the various supporters of the Uhuru Movement. We did not cower at all. We came out stronger and multiplied. Yes.
Right
and the creation of the Hands Off Uhuru Coalition. And that's the way that we have to be. And I also just want to say this much, if I may, because we know that they're coming after the chairperson because of his brilliant mind and his brilliant ability to actually be able to actualize, to concretize his vision. on the vision of the African People's Socialist Party and their ability to be able to put it into action. But also, I just want people to be very, very cognizant of how they're also coming after Jesse Neville and Penny Hess. And it's really interesting to me because this is the lesser evil. This is the Democrats, Joe Biden, who engineered this attack to come after them. And people should also be very clear that while the Justice Department under Joe Biden found nothing wrong with Carolyn Bryant, and she was able to just die without any fear at all of any government agency coming after her. Ironically, it was the Department of Justice under Donald Trump who reopened the investigation into Carolyn Bryant, and that's certainly not anything that I attribute to Trump. I attribute that to the movement of the people. But it was the Joe Biden administration. It was the Department of Justice under Joe Biden that closed the case on Carolyn Bryant. And they go after Jesse Neville and Penny Hess. And Jesse Neville, along with Sister Akili Anayi, they ran a very, very powerful campaign on reparations for the Black community. I think this was maybe in 2015 or something like that. It was so powerful. And Jesse Neville was running for mayor of St. Petersburg, Florida. And their campaign was so powerful that it drug out Obama to come to St. Petersburg. But he ran it on the campaign of reparations for the Black community. And now he's facing 10 to 15 years in prison. So I just wanted people to draw those connections.
Uhuru.
Yeah. Uhuru, comrade, just really want to salute you, comrade Lisa. You are, just have been solid from the beginning, and even before, I've met you. I know that you have been just a really great example of what it means to just take this out in the world boldly and just represent it, in the most principled way. And I just want to really appreciate what you said, even about how this fight back has multiplied. And, it's a great time to talk about that, because part of this appeal, we had to multiply our goal for the appeal for today, because it was clear that the people want to make a statement about how we're going to take this, fight back on. And before we, so we have had to raise our goal, comrades, and I'm going to turn it over to Comrade Penny and Lisa, who are going to continue to, just rally us through, on our way towards meeting our phase 1 goal. But I did want to, before I go on, just acknowledge Comrade Peg, who also responded to the call to the $1,000 donation. So I really want to salute Peg, Uhuru, comrade, and that means 17 more people to do a $1,000, donation can, match that as well. So Uhuru to those comrades who answered that call. Uhuru, and I'm going to turn it back to Chairwoman Penny, because we have, announced what we've raised and how much we have left to go. So Uhuru, comrades.
Uhuru, Chairman Wasey, and I just really want to say, first of all, it's really an honor always to be on anything with Comrade Vice Chair of the Black is Back Coalition, Lisa Davis, a fierce fighter, as we know, for the liberation of African people. And to say that, wow, thank you, Comrade Peg out in St. Pete. This is 3 $1,000 donors tonight. Wow, that is really powerful. But also scores of other comrades who have donated large and small, and certainly to Councilman Charles Barron and Inez Barron for $500 donation, and Comrade Leah Fifield, and others who have donated so much. I want to thank some people who have donated since the last time we read the names, and where we are at, by the way, is $7,966. So we are just about 2,000. Yeah, $2,016 short. Short of $10,000. So yeah, so we can do this. Let's get up. First of all, let's get to 8,000. So that would just be $44 to donate to get to 8,000 tonight. So
Penny, you could put me down for $44. That's coming from
right. All right, so that brings us to $8,000. Now we have $2,000 to get to our $10,000 goal. This is really powerful and important. When they force the Uhuru 3 to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars to deal with this court, and by donating tonight, I just want to say this ensures also that the Black Power Blueprint and all the funding that is raised for that is untouched, that base continues and that work continues. And that is pushing back the state in and of itself. And really want to salute Deputy Chair Onizine Shatella and the fierce leadership that the chairman talked about in building these amazing programs that bring power into the hands of the African working class. And it's beautiful to see. Everybody is welcome to come to St. Louis, have a tour of these programs. But I want to thank our donors tonight in the second half. They can't see me?
No.
Where am I? Right here.
You can't see her?
They can now.
Okay.
Yes, we can see you.
Okay,
Right,
sorry.
Yeah, then disappeared.
No, not yet. All right, so Sarah, really want to thank Sarah E, $5 monthly, Uhuru Comrade Sarah. Thank you to Anonymous. I'm just going to read the names. These are donations, powerful donations of every size, all of which is appreciated. Comrade Len, who is also became a sustainer and giving $10 monthly. Stephen, $100 Kara, $100 Johan, Hada, Bofi, Redbeard, $1,000 as we announced, Maureen, 100 Diane, Matum,
Christy just said 100 in the chat. I see that.
And Lisa Davis is upping yours from 25 to 50.
Yes.
And salute to Rain Christie, $100.
Oh, wow. And let me see, we have Anonymous, 100, Zoe Hauser, great to hear from you, Zoe, Nicole, Janet, Ann, Janet in Oakland, Ann, Cam, Becky, Janice, Orunde, James, Peg, again, Janice and Peg, who donated 1,000 tonight, really appreciate that. Charles and Inez Barron, council people from East New York, very beautiful place, incredible work that's been done there. And who donated 500 tonight, Comrade Jennifer from the Leonard Peltier Ad Hoc Committee, $100, Sayero, Aisha Fields, Kabula, Muwezi, and Q again, always gives more than once. Really, really love you, Comrade MQ, always there for everything that's happening, really an important supporter. Rain Christie, Finn, $50, and just, this is powerful. We are now at $8,185. So we have less than $2,000 to go. We've got to get to this goal tonight, $10,000.
And we appreciate everything that everyone has offered. There's no amount too small and certainly none too large, but we know that anything that people pledge here, it comes from their heart, it comes from their life, it comes from their work, as opposed to, like other entities that can just get other countries to just come in and buy them, like they're trying to do with the Congress and all that kind of stuff. We know where your money, where your time, where everything comes from, and we are just so appreciative of that. We truly are.
I really appreciate you raising that, Vice Chair Lisa Davis, because it is from the heart. It is from genuine solidarity that, and that really powerful statement by revolutionary Professor Ward Churchill, just the unity of African and Indigenous people. What a beautiful thing to see. This is the world that I want to live in. And everybody who's donated tonight is contributing to the ability of the freedom and liberation of African, Indigenous, and oppressed peoples, the Palestinian people. This is how we can support them. African people, Indigenous people struggling to be free and liberated right here inside the belly of the beast. when African people are free and indigenous people are free, the Palestinian people will be free, and the state of Israel will be in the trash can of history. So, wow, Chairman Omali Shatella and Ona Zane, Deputy Chair Ona Zane Shatella, $500. Wow, thank you.
We also have Commander Falcon of
Yes.
the NFAC.
In
All
fact,
right.
In fact, putting in $100.
Well, we're at $8,785.
So
Wow.
close.
Yeah, so close.
And also, if I may just say one thing a moment, because people have complimented me, which I appreciate your nice words, but about my dedication. But it's just that I know what the hell exists and is waiting for us without organizations like this, without the Uhuru Movement. You are completely in the hands of these ruthless colonizers, and we should be able to look very clearly and see the way things are today, where we are literally witnessing. I mean, it's like the masks are completely off, but we are literally witnessing an overt genocide that the United States could stop, and they will not do it. And they're bold and in people's faces about it. What awaits us if we are not organized, if we're not, and I think that the Uhuru Movement is one of the most revolutionary movements out there, at least within the United States. And I know that they also have world, global connections. So this is so important. This is life and death. It truly is. It truly is.
Absolutely. We want to thank our comrade MQ, $50 again.
Well, 1,215 left to go. I know we can do
it. We can do this. This is, 1,165. Is that the correct amount to go?
The 1,215 left to go.
1,115. All right, to go. So we can do this. Let's see, somebody ATL.
ATL.
115.
We
Wow.
have 115 from
Alley, and ATL is $50.
1,000 left to go.
Wow, we're at 9,000.
Comrade Falcon, Tom Falcon of the NFAC donated $100.
yes.
Do we get that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Just really want to salute everybody who's put in tonight. Well, I have pledged 100, but I am going to put in 150 as well. I am inspired to do that. So that chips away. We're over 9,000. So that would be 9,050, and we only need $950 more to meet our goal tonight.
I'll do 50 more.
All right, Kitty Riley.
Make them dead presidents have a heart attack and donate that money with their nasty pictures on it to the Black liberation struggle and to the struggle for liberation for all people. Uhuru, make them roll over again and again and again. And then graves.
Right.
All right, Ruby,
I think
the
it's
red.
happening.
Yeah, I'll do another 100.
Another 100. Comrade Ruby.
Ruby, right on. Uhuru. Uhuru to everyone. This is so powerful, comrades. Yes, I don't know if I'm missing any more, so I won't interrupt the appeal if we see more coming in.
All right, well, we only have $800 more dollars to put in. So yeah, Jesse, were you raising your hand?
No, but I'll take the hint. And I will put in $50.
All right.
With a handsoffuhuru.org/donate. Let's do this. Bring someone close.
Uhuru comrades, yes.
Cam Howard, $100. Cam Howard.
All right, we're getting there. We're down to $750. A mere drop in the bucket.
I mean, remember, because they can also do like installments, correct? Like they can pledge. Can they do it that way too? Like if somebody just says, "I want to
pledge," yes.
Yes. Yep, and your pledge, you can, break it up however you need. You will be hearing from us to follow up with you about that pledge. So, and I see Comrade Lauren, $50. If that's what I see. Uhuru,
we're down to 600. This is
600 left.
easy. We need to just get there. 550 now. Brendan, $50 more. All right, that was a stealth donation.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. All right.
We have, oh wait, we saw that one.
Yeah.
Yes,
All right, just, yeah, so thank you.
550 left to go.
550, we can do this.
550.
You can go ahead and keep, putting resources in even after this event is over, and just really want to thank everyone. And I know it's getting late, so we probably need to wrap up soon, but this has been a powerful, powerful event tonight. I really want to salute you, Chair Moisey, and as always, Vice Chair Lisa Davis, and of course, Chairman Omali Shatella and all the guests. But anyway.
Esther Holzendorf is doing $100 more.
Well, on that note, comrades, thank you, Esther. Thank you, everybody who donated from their heart, whatever they could give at this moment. And I do want to also, just as we wrap up this appeal and move towards our announcements for tonight's program, just acknowledge those who have also contributed in terms of their presence and their longstanding support. I just want to salute, some names, and if I'm missing any, please know that that you are not forgotten. But I did want to mention those who I may have seen on this call. I want to acknowledge Comrade Benjamin of Unión del Barrio, and just this organization that is, whose land we are fighting for to return to them, as they are the rightful owners of this land from Alaska to Chile. So I want to salute those comrades. I want to salute Sister Betty Davis, Alderman Jesse Todd, Comrade Paulette Dotier, and Don, who also had to leave a little bit earlier. But these are comrades from the Leonard Peltier Ad Hoc Committee, as well as Dan and Dave, and and the committee overall. Phil Wilato with the Odessa Solidarity Campaign, and the Virginia Defenders, who is here in support of the Uhuru 3. Also Noah Shank, John McCarthy, Caleb Maupin, and the support from CPI. I want to also really appreciate Sylvester Rivers of KPFK, who also, and as well as Polina Basilev, who played and read played aloud on the airways the statement that was put out on Sunday, and on Monday night as well. And Mimi Rosenberg, who also joined us on today and made some, really important statements in the chat. Certainly that WBAI will continue to facilitate presentations to get this word out. Mark Friedman of the and the entire Hands Off Cuba Committee in Los Angeles, as well as the St. Louis Green Party, the Black Liberation Party and Black Liberation Circle. We see you, comrades. We see you, Jericho Movement, Barry Bender. And I want to thank Esther, who says, I've been waiting for this. Thank you. They did the same thing to the Black Panthers. Some are in exile now because of this corrupt government system. And you just made that donation to make that clear. And lastly, I want to also appreciate the Cuba C, New York and New Jersey coalition. So those are just a few comrades that are on this call that I know I'm missing others. And John Hill, who's also on Facebook, just laying out, a lot of information in terms of, this is who else they have attacked, and this is why this fight back is important. So without further ado,
wait, one more little news here.
Okay,
we
go
made
for it.
our goal $10,000. I really want to thank our dear, our wonderful comrade, Leah Fifield from
Uhuru. And also, this is amazing, comrades. And I also wanted to acknowledge Christina Khalil, who is also on the call and who also committed to making a donation as well. So this is phenomenal. This is just what the power of the people can do. So we did it, comrades. We cannot underestimate the power of the people. So right on. That was
Chairwoman Moisey, we also thank you and your tremendous organizing. I mean, you are just on it, and just appreciate everybody who makes this happen.
Well, you know what? As I say, that is African internationalism, comrade, and it is great to be able to be acknowledged under that perspective. So thank you, Lisa. Salute to you, comrade. This is just amazing.
And I just want to give a quick shout out to the youth who are rising up, the youth who are up in New Jersey, West Orange, Chicago. I just heard they went into the city council. Yes, 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 yes. Reject this world of war that these boomers want to give to you. You know, these blood-sucking boomers, rejecting. Just know, we see you. We're watching you. We see you, Tina. All of the youth who are standing up, high school students are doing this. And I'm just so proud of them. Uhuru.
Right on.
Yes,
Right
yes,
on.
because that is, you know, they want to wipe out us, and part of that is wiping out and confusing the youth into what, you know, what they should be fighting for during this period. And so that's a really important point, comrade. And, you know, on that note, I want to move us towards announcements and closings. I don't know if there's any last, you know, summation that the chairman would like to give on behalf of the Uhuru 3 and on behalf of this fight back. And if not, Chairman, I'll turn it to you, and then I can take us through announcements and close. Uhuru.
The people have spoken.
Thank you, Chairman. And indeed, the people have spoken, and we want to continue to bring the people to keep you all aware of what is happening in the world in this fight back. So you can do this, comrades, by staying connected to this movement, connected to when there is an urgent response needed by the community. We invite you to go to our website, go to handsoffuhuru.org/emergency response and sign the emergency response pledge, sign up for emails, volunteer, and donate to this fight back, comrades. So that is where you can go to the website. Everything that you need, you can find there. And if you have any questions, you can email us, which is not listed here, but that's at info@handsoffuhuru.org, or email the coalition at coalition@handsoffuhuru.org. So just wanted to put that out there. Again, this Hands Off Uhuru Fight Back Coalition is calling on you to bring your skills and your experience to this fight back. Comrades, you can do this by signing up to any of the committees that we have listed here on the screen: the events, the public relations, fundraising, outreach, the legal support. As you saw, the importance of our legal volunteers. You can do this by going to handsoffuhuru.org/volunteer, sign up to volunteer, and build the anti-colonial free speech movement. Uhuru. So, Uhuru, we also want to invite everybody tomorrow, Wednesday, January 31st at 6 p.m. Central, 7:30 Eastern Time. Join the African People's Solidarity Committee. This is the strategic front of the African Revolution. They have a special event tomorrow called Bridging the Gap Between the White Left and the Black Liberation Movement. You don't want to miss it. This will give us a chance to look at the history of contention and betrayal by the white left against the African Liberation Movement, based on a total lack of unity about the leading role of African people in forging the future of a socialist world for all of humanity. So this is what will be discussed in this webinar on tomorrow, making it possible for white people to have a principled relationship with the anti-colonial struggle for African people. This event will be on Zoom and in person in St. Louis on the ground. You can reserve your spot by going to tinyurl.com/white-left-betrayal. Uhuru. Also, the Hands Off Uhuru Fight Back Coalition has 2 upcoming events in the month of February. We want everybody to mark your calendars. On Saturday, February 13th, the Hands Off Uhuru Fight Back Coalition will be holding a meeting. If you are hearing this call, you are invited to come to this meeting. We are going to establish how everyone will build Hands Off Uhuru committees. And so you heard from all these organizations that were on the call today. Many of these, organizations and individuals have been a part of making the commitment to help build Hands Off Uhuru fronts wherever you can see. So we want to just encourage everybody to come to this, because part of this meeting will also be how we will build for the February 24th worldwide virtual rally, where we will call on to build Hands Off Uhuru Fight Back Coalition committees everywhere. And so, comrades, mark these dates. This information will be available on the website. Tomorrow, you will see everything up and out there. So we want to appreciate comrades who are making note of February 13th, which is a Saturday, and Thursday, February 24th. I think that's a Thursday, if I'm incorrect.
No, those days are wrong.
Okay, so the 13th and the 24th, that's correct, but the day is wrong, correct? Okay, right on. Okay, so go to handsoffuhuru.org/events. That's the best place where you can find the most updated information about our upcoming events. And there is a new link being dropped in the chat for the webinar on tomorrow, so please take a look at that as well. And then the Uhuru Solidarity Movement has their national convention, which is taking place on March 9th and 10th in St. Louis, Missouri, as the anti-colonial ruling class, escalates their genocidal colonial terror against African, Palestinian, indigenous, and all oppressed peoples. And this anti-colonial resistance is sweeping the world from Gaza to Burkina Faso to North St. Louis. Now is the time for white people to stand in anti-colonial solidarity and demand no more genocide in our name. So today, I believe, or if I'm not sure, but early registration is almost closed, or it's probably already closed at this point, but you can still register by going to nomoregenocide.eventb, that's BEE.com, nomoregenocide.eventb.com. And that is also being put in the chat for you. And the African National Women's Organization calls on Black women and supporters to attend the 2024 Black Women's Convention. This is an annual gathering of the annual membership and its supporters and the working class Black women who believe that a better world is possible. If this is you, we organize you to come to this convention because we believe that we must struggle against this devastating impact of colonialism on the lives of African women around the world. So African women from every city, town, province, island, country, and village must attend this convention either in person or virtually. You can find out more about this convention taking place March 24th or 22nd to the 24th by going to convention.anwouhuru.org. So Uhuru comrades, again, take out to the world to drop the charges against the Uhuru 3, join this campaign. And I want to invite comrades to come on camera with me as we close out and, say that we are indeed in the process of not only kicking the ass of the ruling class, but putting colonialism on its, on its deathbed. So Uhuru, hands off Uhuru, hands off Africa, drop the charges against the Uhuru 3.
Drop the charges. Drop the charges.
Now,
yes.
One more year for Leonard Peltier.
Exactly. Free political prisoners, free them all. And Leonard Peltier, you coming out. You coming home. And we're going to clear this land for you to get your land back.
You coming home and they're going home.
Yes. You coming to your real home. Your real home, not some place named USA. Your real home, your real land. Yeah.
Drop the charges. Uhuru, comrades.
Uhuru.